Welcome to 5 at 5, following on from Arsenal's first defeat of the season. In fact, this is the first 5 at 5 that I'm going to have to do where Arsenal haven't won. First time we've dropped any points in the league. So let's get into the 5 at 5 and hopefully keep some perspective. Number one, and it's our first defeat. Let's start there. And the first defeat of the season, unfortunately, came at Old Trafford, where you have to bear in mind that there's going to be an Old Trafford tax. Now, let's get straight onto the VAR call. It was harsh, in my opinion, but I'm going to be very honest and say, yes, it was a foul. In this day and age of football, very, very soft, but it's enough to be given a foul. And I always ask myself, would I have asked for that decision to be given to Arsenal if the shoe was on the other foot? I absolutely would have. I'd be saying, look, he hasn't made contact with the football. However soft it is, it's a foul. But here's two things. I truly believe if Man United had committed that foul in the run-up to scoring the opening goal, it wouldn't have been disallowed because it's not a clear and obvious error. The referee clearly saw the decision and made his choice. And once you send a referee over to the VAR monitor in a stadium of that size, with which carries that much influence, it's going to be very, very difficult for a referee to overturn that. So I feel very aggrieved by the fact that it was sent to VAR in the first place. It wasn't a clear and obvious error. And what annoys me as well, you only have to go back to Arsenal's last game against Aston Villa. When they scored direct from a corner, we all saw the replay. We saw Ramsdale was pinned by a Villa player, and that Villa player had his arms round the back of Ramsdale and was holding him. Was it a hardcore foul? Absolutely not. Was it soft? Absolutely yes. Was it given? Surprise, surprise. No. I'm kind of sick of this inconsistency with VAR. And just to rub it in your face a little bit more as an Arsenal fan, in the 53rd minute when Erdegaard fluffed his chance, and I'll get onto that later on, and the ball came back into the box, Saka did brilliantly to bring it down, spin Malacia and take the shot. He got taken out after the shot. Now, anywhere else on the pitch, if you play a little pass and someone comes in and takes you out like that, they're getting yellow card and you're getting a free kick. That was a clear and obvious error, but nothing on VAR. Very, very frustrating. That's part of the Old Trafford tax. And the sooner the Premier League sort out this VAR incompetence, the better. Because this weekend we've seen so many examples. It needs to be sorted. Number two, and that's injuries. Typical story. The injuries are mounting up. Partey injured, El Neni injured, Emil Smith-Rowe now, he's injured. Zinchenko and Ben White, they were already doubts for this game. Look, it's starting to get a little bit worrying. Even Erdegaard was a doubt for the United game. Perhaps we rush some of these players back. And now on top of that, we've got another injury to contend with as well. And it's frustrating because Arsenal didn't sign anyone in that transfer window. And now the games are coming thick and fast with Europa League in the mix as well. One player, as a result of injuries that might get more action in the team now, is Fabio Vieira. And he got his cameo against Man United as well. Now, for all of Martin Ødegaard's potential lack of desire to shoot that he's been criticised for, we saw none of that with Fabio Vieira. He managed to pop off a few shots and looks like he was very comfortable trying to test the opposition goalkeeper. What did you make of his little cameo, and how excited are you to see him in the future games, especially with Emil Smith-Rowe injured and perhaps Ødegaard needing a little bit of time to recover, especially being a doubt for this game in the first place? I almost expect Fabio Vieira to play the bulk of the game in the Europa League on Thursday, and I'm very, very excited to see him play. Number three, and here's an interesting one that actually, I don't know what's gone on, but at the end of the game, there were a few images circulating of Aaron Ramsdale talking to Paul Merson. And as you can see from these images, it didn't really look like the most friendly chat in the world, and Paul Merson doesn't really seem to be saying best of luck, Aaron, or anything of that nature. There looks to be a little bit of needle, but then you have to be very, very cautious about drawing conclusions from still images. And I'm a bit confused. I've tried to find out what's happened and no luck. So either it's being contained very, very well, or it just means that actually there was nothing to it. If anyone's got a theory, or if anyone knows anything, put it in the comments below. I'd love to know what was said, but Perhaps it's something to do with the fact that in the past, Paul Merson has been slightly critical of Aaron Ramsdale. So I'm not sure if Aaron Ramsdale has gone up and said something to Paul Merson for him to potentially react badly. I hope I'm misjudging the situation. Paul Merson, as an Arsenal legend, and many of you might not have seen Paul Merson play, but he was one hell of a player for Arsenal. So I'd hope that there isn't any sort of animosity between the two of them. But if you've got any theories, put it in the comments below. Number 4, and we've got to talk about Martin Ødegaard. Already in this video, I've mentioned his name a few times, and he's a player that had an interesting game against Man United, and obviously one that we're going to have to talk about. On one hand, he had a key involvement in our disallowed goal with the pressure and winning the ball off of Christian Eriksen, which unfortunately, as we discussed before, was disallowed by VAR. He also had a key involvement in our goal that actually stood, where he played the forward pass that eventually broke to Saka and Saka scored the goal. But on the other hand, he had a glorious chance after brilliant work from Gabriel Jesus on the right-hand side, who, when he cut it back to Erdegaard, didn't have to break stride. It was on his favoured foot, and he completely fluffed it. So it's a bit of a difficult performance to analyse, but let's look at these stats, and hopefully these stats will help us. So they don't make for good reading. Only 68% pass accuracy. That is the lowest of any of the outfield Arsenal players, and that even includes the substitutions. He had no successful dribbles, no accurate crosses, no accurate long balls, no tackles won, no ground duels won. And I know that, look, he's not a combative defensive midfielder, and I'm talking about tackles and ground duels, but the crosses, the long balls, the dribbles, unfortunately, the stats don't paint a great picture, and I think it's an interesting one with his performance today. Whenever Martin Ødegaard has a bad game or even a bad moment in a game, he gets a lot of criticism, and sometimes I feel like it's unwarranted. What did you make of Martin Ødegaard's performance? Do you think he deserves to be subbed off? And what is your opinion on him overall, and what your expectations are from him this season? Number 5, Mikel Arteta with the triple substitution. He made that substitution in the 74th minute when we basically had just conceded. But I want to ask you guys, was that too rash? Was it a bit of a mistake from Mikel Arteta? I'm all for a triple substitution. I'm all for ambitious substitutions. It's something that I've called for on many occasions this season already. And more often than not, this season, given our 5 out of 5 record prior to this game, Arteta's substitutions have worked. So I'm not going to get an Arteta's back. A manager is entitled to try new things and to make brave decisions. Unfortunately, it didn't work for him on this occasion. But when you analyse that substitution, when you're doing a triple substitution, you're changing 30% of your outfield players. For me, you do that when the game plan isn't working and you need to think to yourself, okay, we need to rip it up, try something completely different. I don't think with 15 minutes to go, Arsenal needed to do that, because look, the game plan was working. I felt like, were the better team. And yes, we had just conceded, and to win the game, you need to go and score 2 goals, which might have been part of his thinking, that if I need to try and act now to win the game, it's got to be something serious and a big change. But I feel like what it did, it caused a bit of a lack of organisation to the team, and it was detrimental to the team's flow. When things are going right overall, when the game plan is largely working, I felt like that was a bit too much. But Mikel Arteta, do you know what? At least it was brave. At least it was that ambitious, potentially a little bit too ambitious, with Vieira, Smith Rowe and Nketiah coming on for Zinchenko and Sambi Lokonga, who offer us a bit of solidity, and then obviously Erdegaard completing that trio. Perhaps it was a bit too forward focused, and then obviously we got caught out a minute later. When you concede a goal a minute after a triple substitution, I think that's always a bad look for the manager. But I'm going to back Mikel Arteta, because this season he's got them more right than he has wrong. It's his first one, so forgive him that. Thank you as ever for watching. I really, really appreciate all of your support. Please do hit like on this video if your team's top of the league. Yes, just to remind you, we are still top of the league. And also an update on the fundraising that I was doing for the Pakistan floods. I want to say a massive thank you. I wanted to raise £1,000. I've ended up raising £2,340. Thank you so much to all of you. I have put the description in the link below if you want to carry on donating to that. But listen, you've absolutely smashed the target out of the park. And I'm truly, truly appreciative of all of that support and all of that love. Thank you. Until next time, and hopefully another win. See you soon.